it's really pivotal for all of us to understand that how did they eventually carve that journey, how all of them, started working for brands like BCG, JP Morgan Chase, and Nestle, respectively. So, in no particular order, and rather than, introducing all of you, we'd really love to hear your story from your own, selves. So, like I said, in no particular order, Isha, considering you are smiling, or Surbi, who'd like to go, Sundaram, of course, is going to be joining us, facing a little bit of network issue. So, whom should we go first with?
Why don't you go ahead?
Yes, and just before Survi starts, it's actually a very great week, so to say. Survi, it'll be great if you can also share about your very recent promotion, how you have taken over the mantle at BCG as somebody who's going to be leading the career development, full force as a manager. So congratulations, first of all, for that. I think that's incredible feat, and it feels really proud when we hear such stories, and even for the students back home, it's really inspiring. So over to you, Surbi, to start first.
Yeah, thank you so much, first of all, for inviting me here. It's always great to, come back and speak to all of you and share experiences. So thanks for giving that opportunity to me once again. I hope you all are doing well. And at 7:30, you've given, your time to be here. So that really speaks about how, you're placing importance in developing your own self and your career. And that's very interesting and encouraging to know. So talking about my journey, and Neerja's already shared a bit, in bits and pieces. Um, I was alumni from the year 2015 and 16, and after that, from Soil, I got campus placed into HCL Technologies, and that was the first company to come to our campus that year. I was very excited as I had worked in HCL Technologies before, also before Soil, as an engineer, and now after Soil, completely changing my track to one of my, most passionate areas, that is human resources. So to see the other side of the corporate world, the HR side. And I was fortunate enough to get campus placed and get this great opportunity to work as a senior management trainee. That was the first the title over there and the job that I had. And I was part of career and performance COE at HCL. So then, after spending, 1 year as a trainee, you get understanding of, your domain, etc. And after that, I was given my first promotion, so to say, and I became associate manager. And then spending almost 4 years in HCL, again getting a promotion to deputy manager. Then I thought that, okay, now is the time when I have explored HCL enough and almost did everything that was there in career development and performance management space, whether it was promotions, or working for even the CHRO of HCL itself. So I worked on some projects such as succession planning for leadership, etc., which were very interesting. So then I was looking for something new. And that's where I got this opportunity from BCG to be part of, the same kind of, you can say, group or domain, that is performance and career management, but for a different industry and for a completely different kind of setup, so to say. And then from there, 2020 onwards, my journey began with BCG, and it has been like immense learning experience, amazing opportunities that I've got here. Again, I joined as specialist, BCG 2020, then got promoted to senior specialist, and now this week I got the great news that I've been promoted to career development manager. So I'll be, as Neerja said, I'll be leading a particular business, career development for that business. So it's exciting, and it's a global role. So employees are all across, the globe. So which makes it even more interesting.
Congratulations, Surfi.
Thank you.
Fascinating. Isha, over to you. You have been one of our most loved facilitators, and we can also call you as a kind of an adjunct faculty only, the way that you've always taken. And what's really interesting is the way that you lead internal communications. That's such a pivotal part. And the stint from being a software engineer at IBM all the way to pivoting your career into human resources. So that's a story in itself. So we'd like to know more about you from your own self. Please help us, introduce yourself so that our guests, all of them have a context as to, where essentially do they locate you and your illustrious career right now at Nestle.
Thanks, Nirja. So, a quick introduction about myself. My name is Isha. I hail from a small town called Sirsa. Why I mention it is because that has been very key and very pivotal in who I am today. And I don't think that's it. I will always be a work in progress, and the continued journey will always be for improvement and excellence. So, a little bit about how this has come about is that I was an engineer. I did my engineering from the IP University and got a placement from that campus into IBM. And I realized that IBM is very much involved into the learning and development aspect and role of the employees. They were spending at that particular point in time about $1 million for the learning and development of the employees, and they had really a very good team which was in place. And there is where I realized that this is something that I'd like to do myself, and hence I figured out that soil was one place which can help me switch careers. So I wanted to get into something in HR, and learning and development was something that I really was aspiring for. And more or so, it happened like this, that I got a pre-placement offer from Soil campus itself towards Grofers, which is currently being called Blinkit. I spent about 3.5 years there. I set up the learning function, and even so that I was just out of college, the organization was also supportive enough to put me at a pedestal of setting up the function, leading the function, and then eventually turn it into talent management. After 3.5 years, I moved to a role which was more of a HRBP stint, which was in an organization called Loconav, which is into fleet management solutions. Post that, I moved on from there and joined a media group, which is the Times Group. Within the Times Group, I joined Times Internet, which was where I was leading employer branding. I was taking care of internal comms, and some part of it was also into employee engagement, which eventually turned into employee experience and getting trained on design thinking. That is where I decided that I wanted to get deeper into this particular role, and that's when Nestle happened. So yeah, that's my journey in a nutshell.
Very interesting. We are, of course, going to be digging into, each of the things that all of you have mentioned. And saving the last, I hope, Sundaram, you're able to hear us pretty well right now.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic.
Great.
Thanks to my phone and not my laptop.
We're able
There
to
are
hear
some
you.
lot of niggles here. Hope I'm audible. Yeah.
Yes, you're absolutely audible, and we are, of course, the audience is rather very excited to, of course, be hearing all three of you. But both of them, both the guests were introducing. Likewise, we'd want you also to introduce yourself, and just to contextualize, of course, you have been an HR leader, and all the buzzwords when we talk about HR, employer branding, talent acquisition, total
Yeah.
rewards, strategic business partnering, you have almost experiences in all of that. And I we must say that you're the most creative looking HR person with the beard and the overall look that you have, so that also
Great,
makes it much
sure.
more interesting. So over to you. Please help us contextualize this discussion. Please introduce yourself.
Fantastic. I am Sundaram Vasudevan. So, engineer by degree and HR profession by sheer determination and soil with a touch of madness. After I was really fluent in Java and C Sharp, and I decided to switch my language to human, which is really difficult, isn't it? And instead of not debugging code, now these days I'm debugging policies and human emotions, which is really challenging. And with a cup of coffee, that's more important. right? I did my engineering, switched to HR after soil. I joined a product organization called Intellect that time. I started with employee engagement and did employer branding. That in 2012, employer branding was just a buzzword, and yeah, Intellect was a pioneer in doing employer branding, where we did hiring through Facebook, LinkedIn, and 2012 it was unheard of, right? 2012 that was social media was booming, and we used all the social media, and then switched on to lead a huge function in Wipro as an HR partner and doing a global role there, and wanted to taste a product side of the world. So switched to Swissco and was an HR partner and took care of benefits as well, and was taking care of Divestiture, which is a business. The Cisco was letting go of one business to another organization. So the whole program management and HR bit of it, I was managing the whole thing, and then moved to Freshworks, exciting startup in Chennai, one of the pioneers in SaaS. Was leading three products, HR functions in three products, while working with chief product officer. So that was one of my exciting stints where I was working with a CXO level leaders and CEO. Was fantastic. And then now as VP HR in JP Morgan Chase, handling enterprise technology, working with general managers and MDs in India and in the globe. So that's the professional side. And on a personal side, I'm part of a band called Motamari Music, which is from Chennai, and I travel across the globe, and that's my let out zone. That is my zone where I am letting go of myself and energize myself for the the next week in office. So that's a small introduction about myself.
Great, that's very interesting. Thank you so much for that. I urge all the participants, please feel free to, post your questions for the panelists. We'll be happy to, take those up. So you can just put it in the Q&A section and we'll take it. However, just to give structure to the entire conversation, there are times where often we see these discussions and debates that HR is in coma. And especially, when we talk about AI, all of these concerns come out. But, how beautifully Isha was also talking about how at the very beginning the grow first journey, now Blinkit, but you set up the entire talent pool. And I remember attending Surbhi's session live where Surbhi mentioned that there's a drastic cultural difference between say an HCL or a BCG where she's currently working, and HR only drives that culture, the differentiation of culture that we are able to talk about. Or even like Sundaram said, that Intellect was a pioneer when it came to leveraging important technologies, especially in the domain of HR. So we'd love to hear all three of you talk about, vis-a-vis your current roles at your respective firms. Just help us understand that, why always this entire discussion about HR being in coma, whereas it plays such a pivotal role. And this being said, I'm currently in the L&T office, and over here also you're working very closely with the HR team. And HR teams, again, how powerfully they're trying to carve the culture and making sure that the overall organizational goals are met. So just help us understand your perspective, and especially the contribution that all of you make via your career. So I'd let you people decide the order.
Cool. Isha, would you
I'm
mind
happy
going
to.
first? Oh
I'm
yeah,
happy to
Surbhi, please
also
go ahead.
go first. So,
Yeah.
this is a great question, Neerja, and definitely HR does drive culture. I'll speak from my experience and from my role. I've been like into a specialist kind of space since like 8 to 9 years. But my recent experience with BCG, the business for which I work as a career development lead or manager, um, we like every week or every 15 days or so, I'm working with the COO, that is Chief Operating Officer of the business, and we are discussing, whether it's the year-end bonus structure or the performance that is going on of different managers that are there or the employees that are there, or what are the themes or what are the challenges that business has, and how HR or career development team can support business in those challenges, whether it's, the cost challenge, and then how should we look at, the promotion percentages, or the promotion kind of, the budgets we have. So basically, HR has a seat at the table with the business, and HR does work hand in hand to support the business. So it has to be in alignment, and that opportunity is there, and we do um, get this wonderful, opportunities to help support business. That's the value HR drives.
Fantastic. Isha,
Ram, you can go ahead. I'd like to hear you as well. Thanks, Surabhi. Thanks for adding that.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you. See, I would want to just set some context, probably for a lot of folks who haven't experienced the corporate structure or new to corporate structure, right? HR was always called a personnel function. They were driving the policy and the human operations bit of it, right? For us, we always were looked at as a service function, a support function, right? And we shouldn't deny it. I understand we are really a powerful function, but we shouldn't deny it, right? I why business was not seeing value, and why a lot of organizations started looking at HR with newfound respect is because HR started understanding the business. That's the biggest change in how HR operated. Right? Earlier, it always used to be motivation, engagement, and all that HR gyan, right? And business was really bored, and were not paying attention to what HR was saying. When you talk to them saying that your productivity numbers are going down, your revenue is going down, they immediately look at you and say, why? What happened? Right? So when you start speaking the business language, that is where business starts respecting you. And in the past 7-8 years, I've seen the HR function change the way it operates, right? It always used to be what the vision was, and then we just try to drive the change. Very important, right? But now we are part of the decision making table, right? And we are in a place where we command respect on the table and say, I understand this is what your vision is for the business, but with respect to people strategy, this is what we want to do. From recruitment, right? From learning and development, right? From promoting employee engagement, right? HR is very much part of the culture change and the vision. So this is where now people started having newfound respect for HR. Earlier, I still remember, a lot of boomers still say HR function is for cake cutting and blasting the balloons. So that used to hurt me, right? Because I used to say, why do you say that? And now it all changed. Now it's not just hiring and firing. It's a lot more in terms of people strategy. It is not just hiring and firing. It is changing perspective. And as I said, culture, as Surbi mentioned, culture is part of overall strategy, and culture comes from what business wants, right? And what the leaders want, right? So for certain organizations, culture is driving cost effective organization and how HR can implement certain policies that helps business. For certain organizations, the culture is about driving innovation, and how can HR implement policies and people strategies to improve, augment innovation from the employees, and how it can attract talent, right? So it depends on the vision the organization has, and the HR understands the vision, understands the business, and start implementing it. So that's where we are in terms of HR function in recent times.
agree with both of you. I think so, Sundaram and Surbi. Nirja's point is not really, my point is not really vary from what both of them are saying. I think HR does. It's not just also about the seat at the table. I think now we are invited to the seat and we are very welcome there. And it's a two-way handshake. It's not a one-sided monologue, which where the business drives numbers and HR drives, I don't know, engagement, etc. It's not like that anymore. I think more or so organizations have started realizing that their entire business strategy needs to be implemented by people. So all of that has come into a forefront in a very stronger way, especially if you see the pre-COVID and post-COVID scenario. You see a lot of gig coming into picture. You see a multi-generational workforce and they are driving different needs, right? So you see a boomer, you see a millennial, you see a Gen Z, all of us working in a conundrum which is not really chaos and noise but beautiful music. And that's not very easy to drive. You see three generations sitting at the table. Even at a dinner table we hear all sorts of conversations, right? And it's a very beautiful play that can come out really well if at all there's harmony and there's collaboration, which is, I won't say that it's an easy thing to drive. And I can't really harp on the fact that leaders themselves, even though they come from mindsets which are not, you know, as at par or are very different from what they are experiencing today, they are still embracing that change with so much of challenge and so much of diversity coming into picture that they're taking things head on. I know that we always say that business is saying that they would like HR to do this, but I think it's really it's delightful to see that they are now asking us that how do we manage this. This is a particular function and this has a very specific, very intuitive needs. And now we are moving at people working who are differently abled, so their capabilities are in a totally different ball game altogether. So what I'm saying is that I think we braced for change. HR did brace for change couple of years ago, like both of them had mentioned, and that transition has now so visible that now the business has started reciprocating, not just by asking us to lead, but helping us to partner with them in a way more open and more collaborative ways. What I can just throw in a light on.
Okay, that's very fascinating, and it's incredible to see how Surbi's background is beyond is where we begin, and yours is also like the employer branding getting exemplified. Now leveraging a question which has also been posted by Divyansh Samaye, and this is also not just Divyansh's question. Many people really have this question whenever they're trying to actually figure out which B school to select for themselves, and of course a lot of times like Isha is coming from an engineering background. More often than not we have this opinion that the best recipe for a good placement eventually is going to be a engineer, along with that an MBA or an MBA equivalent like a PGPM PGTM program. So just help us understand what was your thought process when you were selecting the colleges, and secondly, as even Anil sir keeps on saying, these are not sprints, these are mega marathons, which all three of you are exemplifying. Surbi said that she came she started a career with HCL, or Sundaram said that how intellect was the starting point, or you started with Grofers, Isha. So it's very fascinating that you people did not give up, right? You networked, you upskilled yourself, you kind of gave in your 100% to even get that that seat with the business that you were talking about previously, all three of you. So both the aspects, a, what was your thought process when you were trying to figure out a college of selection, and b, how beautifully all three of you have carved your careers. It's not that the initial job that you got, because a lot of times we do get obsessed with that, but that's not how careers are going to be made. So could you just educate the people currently also who are attending this?
How to choose between, let's say, three or four options that you have. So what I did was that for me it was important that what kind of experiences I want to learn in the 1 year that I spend at, or 2 years I spend at XYZ college. So what kind of experiences that I want. That's the first thing, because I'm leaving my job, I'm changing my stream, and it's really, really important that I should have a good ROI, not on just the numbers that I'm going to get after placement, etc., but also how well my time is spent. So one was that, and talk to alumni, look at the website, talk to, of course, those things. So the basic things I did and got to know that what kind of experience soil offers. And secondly is what kind of skills I'm looking to build. So that is also extremely important. The curriculum and the subjects that you're going to learn are going to be some or what same in, let's say, one, two, and three college, but the kind of skills and the kind of competencies and how they are being built. For example, you're getting faculties that are world renowned, and you're kind of getting the classmates that have such strengths, because you're going to be spending time with them, collaborating with them. So these kind of things help build the skills as well. For example, communication, or let's say leadership, or let's say XYZ. So those two things were important for me: experiences and the kind of skills that I want to build for myself. And that's how I chose soil.
Nirja, can you come bump up the second half of the question so that
Again, yes, of course. So the experiences part was handled pretty well. The second part is the fact that, we think that, oh, if I want to get into a Nestle, or, if I want to get into a BCG, it is only that I actually have to just go to an IIM, but, or an XLRI, if it's like, talking about HR. But all of you have got into those aspirational brands, right? And you got through those aspirational brands with making sure that you're moving, making sure that you're creating an impact, like Grofers, the mega impact that you had over 3 years tenure that you were talking about, how you literally built the team from scratch. I'm sure that that would have definitely been a very exciting point for Nestle to make sure that they hire and onboard you for their internal communication to be led by you. So just help us understand, because at that time we're not able to understand. At that time we think, oh no, we just need a good placement, and good is more necessarily misunderstood with just brands and not roles to start your career with. So just help us understand that piece as well, how you kept going, how you kept understanding that, yes, those big brands can also be, and it's not even brand. I think you were staying too true to, the core principles of HR that you thoroughly believe in. That's something, Isha, you mentioned before also in your, speaker sessions over here. So just help us understand that. And what advice would you give to people who are just like, running behind that one proper role? Because that'll come eventually.
um so it's like how do I go about it, that we generally become, when we have a plethora of organizations in front of us, I think it becomes a story where we say that this is somewhere I'd like to pitch in. Who doesn't want to work for them, right? I remember I really couldn't make it to the first interview when I was an engineer, which was with Microsoft. And it was the interview was very good. However, the person who was actually interviewing me did say that, Isha, you are an engineer, but by heart you are already an HR. So do try to pursue that role. But I was, in my early 20s, and you really don't think of switching careers just after you've completed your graduation, etc. So I didn't believe him at that time, but yes, that struck the chord later in the life. So I think where you are going, Nirja, is largely philosophical. It's there are two types of people, is what I've understood, who aspire to take their career where they are. One are the ones who want to start with a hit, and they want to start with the big bang of getting a big name, getting into a college which just makes it, and they prepare a lot for their entrance exams, etc. When I completed my graduation, I did realize that I am probably on the second side of the story, which is a story of resilience, and a story of, yes, I'd like to chase my dreams, but it's okay if they take time. So it's a very philosophical, personality driven, individualistic decision. And yes, a very, very big role comes into place your curriculum, what is it that you're trying, like so we mentioned the experiences and the skills that I'd like to drive. But yes, a very game changing pointer there is of the faculty, and they enlighten you with wisdom which is not just restricted to probably a geographical area or a cultural area. You get to know a lot of diverse contrasting thoughts, schools of thoughts. I think that is something which drove me to soil. I am sure there would be other colleges also which would be offering that, but when I really went ahead and saw the curriculum, the way it was designed, it really magnetized me towards itself. And I did say that, okay, I used to always call it a champion of underdogs. That okay, we came a little longer in our life and we are taking these decisions a little later, so why not this?
How beautifully well put. Sundaram, we have a different question, which is posed by, a participant, Vedant. And Vedant is asking a very interesting question. He's saying, considering you've been in the HR domain for a really long time, what were the strategies that you actually picked up from the course, the PGPM course? I see a lot of students sometimes say that, we've replicated the morning circle as a part of the engagement or, some of the activities. But what were the actual things? And that's a very relevant question
Yeah.
because sometimes it's just theoretical and bookish. Maybe you just know your Desslers really well, but how do you implement? Implementation is a different ball game altogether. So that's a very interesting question, that what were the actual things you picked up from the PGPM program?
I'll be very honest with you, right? Most of the HR uh, courses, it's pretty much common across all the colleges, right? For me, the most important aspect, which I thought were not really important but helped me a lot, is understanding the accounts and reading the balance sheet of an organization, right? In the accounts, which helped me a lot in understanding the business and analytics. Again, how to understand the data and tell a story through the data. That is more important. That stuck with me, and that is one learning which I keep uh, learning and I keep improving on. That is really important for me. And everywhere, every organization I have, I've been networking with a lot of HR leaders and newcomers, right? That is one thing which I keep saying to the newcomers in the HR industry: hey, understand your business and understand data. That is, data is your love language, right? That's really, really, really important because it's not just about attrition. Anyone can talk about attrition percentage, right? Now, these days, you can build a tool that talks about attrition percentage. But how does it matter to your business? What does it translate to? That's where, as a human professional, human resources professional, you can make the change. I think that is what I took from soil. And having see, I was a first bench student in soil. I never used to take notes a lot, but I used to ask thousands of questions where my classmates were irritated, like, dude, stop asking questions. I used to ask a lot of questions. So, and the best part about soil is we had industry leaders coming and teaching us, right? And I remember one of the leading HR consultants in the in India, who are performance management consultants in India, teaching us performance management. And it was amazing, right? It was an amazing conversation I had with the teacher, and I scored really good, right? I mean, and it is not about just the score, but the conversations you have with the faculty and with the other HRs. That is where is really important, and not Maslow's, and not the theories of HR or theories of business management, right? Not gonna see. It will help you. It'll put you it'll help you put a structure in your initiatives, but will it translate 100% to real world scenarios? 100% no. I've been there, done that. None of it works, right? Oh my god, am I going to do something? No, it's not going to work. You will have to cater to the challenges you have in hand. Really important. I don't know if I have had under if I have answered the question. Yeah,
Indeed, you have. I think that comes across because, you can't really get along also by saying why HR in the interviews and you say I'm a people's person anymore. You have to say that,
exactly.
you leverage technology and data. And the way that, it's incredible to see in the past 2 years itself, the screening rounds and the aptitude rounds for students, they've drastically changed, which is all courtesy, the
And
HR people trying to
sorry,
make it
sorry to
tougher.
interject, Neerja. Sorry to
No,
interject.
no, no, no,
You
please.
you see, you you can be, if you are a people's person, you can be in marketing, you can be in sales, you can be in HR. It doesn't matter where you are. You will have to be a people's person if you are working in a corporate. I mean, the empathy levels are really different for a salesperson versus a human resource professional, right? You can't say I'm a people's person. That's why I chose HR. Like nobody's gonna give you a job. I mean, I'm sorry for being blunt, right? It's a cliched answer for being in HR. I'm a people's person. I love being with people. Of course, you love being with people, but I know introverts who are amazing HR professionals. They don't generally mingle with people, but they understand how to be a great HR, right? I have amazing HR, my friends who are super introverts, right? So you don't need to be a people person, please. For me, I just want to add upon what Isha touched, right? Build a personal brand. That is really important. Building your HR foundations, building your strong business foundations is mandatory. That's for granted. You can't escape that. But build your personal brand. That is really, really, really important. Don't have the same old cliched answer for the questions they ask. Please try to construct something unique to yourself. Bring out your personality. That's really, really, really important, right? And uh, one more important thing is, do not, as again, I'm building on Isha's answer. Uh, there are a lot of colleges, like top tier one colleges, who are fighting for day zero spots in the best of the best organizations, right? I'll be honest with you. JP Morgan is a day zero employer and XLRI day zero employer in TIS, right? Day zero. Like one of the most prestigious organization, not in India, in the world. I'm here, I'm performing well. I'm not from XLRI, right? I'm not demeaning any college here. Of course, they are amazing colleges, right? But one key point here is you should start somewhere and take in as many learning and as many roles as possible in early in your career. Do not say that I want to become an HR generalist. I want to become an employer branding specialist. Try to get as many HR roles as possible in early in your career so that you become a well-rounded HR professional. When you look at my profile, I mean, I'm not saying that I have done it all, right? But I've done most of the HRs. I mean, you can we can have a conversation on employer branding. We can have a conversation on comp and ben. We can have a conversation on talent development and talent upskilling, right? So because I took a lot of initiatives and a lot of roles that came my way, that is these are the three things that are really important and helped me in my career.
That's incredible. No, that's truly, truly well answered. I think very practical and pragmatic advice there. Moving on, and before we answer specific questions, there's one common pattern in the questions, and maybe Surbhi, we can ask you this question first, and then we'll go to Isha for the second part of it. Now, when we talk about one of the aspirations that people have, especially they want to get into MBBs. So when you cracked BCG, or what was the feeling overall? And secondly, that brings across a couple of questions asked by Sheldra, a couple of other questions asked by some of these students who've mentioned it. That what was your outlook towards your career overall that led you to this particular place? How was that journey right now? So if any student is there in soil, what kind of piece of advice would you like to give to them? What was like the go-to one or two pointers that you kept on telling Survi again and again, that is yourself again and again, that made you continuously make sure that you are getting to the job maybe that you were aspiring for initially? So just
Yeah.
imagining that you're speaking to, people at Soil, or aspirants who are joining Soil, what piece of advice would you like to give to them, to crack such kind of roles?
See, one thing is that you can't, like, it's always great to have a dream, like, crack BCG or crack X or Y or crack Apple, Facebook, whatever. But right now, wherever you are, you just have to ensure that you're giving your best. So even when I got placed at HCL Technologies, I was extremely happy that I got this role. And my this thing was that I have to do my best in this role, and then of course keep looking for my dream roles and my dream job. But you can't have the mindset that, oh, uh, I'll only be happy when I get to BCG, so wo nahi, that kind of attitude should not be there, that you're not, like, you're just thinking about going to that dream job or whatever. But how I prepared myself, my attitude was like, I'm going to give my best each day, whatever job, whatever role I have, I'm going to upskill myself with the opportunities available, doing different projects. And as Sundaram also mentioned, that try to do different things, so that you have so much skills developed in yourself, that when that opportunity knocks your door, that then you are well prepared to grab that opportunity and fit in the role that that is there. So that is important. So taking that journey, and it was not like I thought about BCG and I just got it in like a second or so. I gave interviews at other places also. Some places I got through, but I didn't wanted to, like, I didn't like the opportunity they were offering, etc. Some places I wanted to go, but they said that no, maybe we don't think that you're a fit for this role that we have, and then BCG happened. So keep trying, I would say, and just keep doing the best wherever you are, like if you're a student, if you are in XYZ job, etc. So those would be my from my experience, I can say.
Great. Thanks so much for sharing that. And Isha, coming on to you, like, that amazing feat, you actually acted like an entrepreneur, as they say, like, an internal entrepreneur of sorts at Grofers. So, how was that journey? Was it very challenging? And were you taken seriously? Because even right now, we remember when you were delivering that session, everybody was like, wondering that you're probably just a student. And then little did they come to know about, your illustrious, impeccable track record in the industry as an HR person. Also, along with that, if you could also help answer one question, because a lot of students are having their interviews, like Sandeep Kumar and a lot of other people day after tomorrow. So if you can also just go back, dig into your overall soils interview experience, and what were the things that that were really critically crucial that the selectors were certainly looking at.
So I'll take it the other way around. Nisha, I'll do the second question first because that's easier to answer and simpler. So I think soil is a place for being yourself. It will shape you in a very different way, and if you give it your all, you will realize that you could absorb or take away a lot of what is being offered. So I think 99% of success at soil is showing up, which means your attendance, which means your passion towards the longest case studies and how you deal with it. So I think I'll take in some pointers from what Sundaram had mentioned earlier, that skills will be your key, and go in with into the interview with the mindset of this is what you'd like to build, and probably you'll be given an opportunity once you are inside the college to have and read a lot of case studies. That doesn't mean that you limit yourself to say only HR case studies. If you're going in within, say, a marketing function, do give yourself an exposure of the analytics case studies also, or the pricing strategy, or the HR case studies. That will round you holistically, and it will help you shape your own thoughts and your own skills, which will come into picture after you what you learned from there. So do get inside with the mindset of what you'd like to build, would be my first advice while you're sitting for an interview. The second is try to hone yourself a little bit in terms of who you are and why are you making this decision. If this is a decision where you'd like to switch, say, a stream, you are turning on from an arts professional to an MBA, things like that, be very, very clear about why are you making this decision, because that is going to stay with you throughout your journey at Soil. And I think that gets assessed a lot. I think I was assessed and harped on the question, why am I making this career move? Have I actually thought it through? Will I be, taken aback if I don't make the cut? How will I do so? So all in all, it there should be a lot of strength which should come from within, and go in with some prepared questions about these decisions and your long term view about the industry. Nonetheless, adding on to what should you take up personally, maybe on the day when you are going to get the interview, do read the newspaper, do get acquainted with the what's happening around. And one thing which is very, very well appreciated in Soil is having your own opinion about things. So I think that was the first place where I realized that I could share an opinion which was really not groupthink, and it will still be taken well. So I think develop that aspect of sharing what your perspective is, because that's very unique to yourself. That's answering the second bit. The first bit, Nirja, sorry, I think I lost it again. Can you just repeat it for me?
About your overall, stint with Grow First. But instead of that, there's also a very interesting question, which I'd really appreciate if all of you can also answer, starting from Isha, of course, first. That common pattern about people getting worried about, just like even Sundaram said, that intellect was at the forefront of talking about employer branding when people were not even looking at LinkedIn as a way to, recruit talent. Intellect was actually doing that. But having said that, for all of you and Isha, starting from you, what does the future of work look like? And this is not just HR. This is like, the future of work overall. Because, there's so much being said and done about it. There's so much of conjecture about, what will AI do? There's one spectrum which says AI will replace everyone, and the other spectrum which says that, it'll make teams leaner. So you need to know how to leverage AI to make sure that you're much more efficient. So what is it, because all, what better than, group of talented HR professionals answering this question for us. So Isha, starting from you, what do you think is the future of work?
So, very interesting, Nirja. I'm currently also doing a project regarding how the workplace is going to change and how it's already changing. So, different aspect into picture. The two aspects that we generally keep talking about in the industry is one, technology driving a lot of discussions, and the second is how the opportunity of having an open workplace is going to look like. So we have and we are also thinking about cross. So making the organization a largely a fungible skill aspect. So if you see that organization is made of people, people have skills, and a lot of I think tech organizations have taken a leap into making this entire organization into a big umbrella of skill based, and not just any skills but fungible skills. I think Surbi would add on to this because she comes from that background, that right now the modules and the projects are more looked at as projects. You deploy an agile team, bring together talented people who have different set of skills, ask them to probably approach that project from a different lens. We have a diverse group. Look at like a 2 week sprint, develop, deploy, execute, move to the next sprint. So this is a very common theme that was used in technology long, long ago. It's not new. It's a old school approach. But what I'm seeing now more so is a lot of other organizations, especially organizations which are non-tech domains, adopting that approach. Now, coming to the leg of how will AI add on to this is AI will definitely and has already become a part of our workforce. If you start mapping talent, and we did this exercise quite some time back to understand that one aspect of talent is people, one aspect of talent is the gig workers that are coming up, and one aspect of talent is AI. So AI is one of our talent, which is actually supporting us in building robust mechanisms of executing something in a very, very simple way. Something that used to take, projects that would take long meetings and presentations now can be done over a click of a button. But replacing AI, it's the same thing that happened in the 2000s, right? That what are three zeros gonna do to 1990s
Yeah.
and the four digits? So it's the same thing. There are going to be legends about it. There are going to be theories, conspiracy theories. Some of those theories will also come true. But what is interesting to see is how do we adapt to it. And the more so, I'm really excited for this change coming into picture. And I think when we've seen the shift, right? People hung in their boots. They said they're never returning to work after COVID, and they said that this is the great resignation, which eventually turned into a different theory saying that, okay, now everybody's coming back. So we see the tables turn very, very quickly, and we see how we also evolve with the tables. Everybody who was very passionate about working from home is now wanting to go to work. We are now talking about ergonomical chairs so that we sit in the right positions. So, what I'm saying is that change is close up and here, and I think we are just riding the wave of understanding and making the best use of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Isha. I just want to add a couple of points. It's an excellent question. Who asked this question? An excellent question. Future of work. I mean, amazing question here. I just want to add a couple of points here. It is not human versus AI. Let's be very practical. It is human AI partnership. It is human with AI. AI will be able to automate, augment many tasks, right? But it will never be able to replace human qualities like creativity, empathy, and critical thinking, right? Really important. It will aid us take better decisions and to solve complex problems, right? It will help us adapt quickly. It will never replace us. Of course, yes, there will be a lot of roles that will be redundant, like anything that is repetitive, any roles that are repetitively doing, like L1 level support. It is very critical. I mean, it is very much redundant, right? They look at something and they just reply, right? That becomes automated. How can you upskill to the next level? That becomes a challenge here, right? As I said, it is for enhanced decision making, and job roles will evolve. That is more important, right? It is not going to stay the same. How
Okay.
can It's not going to be human resource business partner alone. How can this role be partnering with AI, mix AI, and how can we enable the business, right? And demand for new skills is gonna skyrocket, right? It's not going to be the same. For example, I mean, many of you in this call will know prompt engineering is hot skill right now. Prompt people who wouldn't have heard about prompt engineering a couple of years ago, right? It's one of the hot skills right now. So people who are upskilling themselves to adapt to the new technologies, irrespective of the role, industry, or the domain they are in, they're gonna survive and peak. No doubt about it.
Great. That's very interesting. Now that we're almost moving on to the fag end, or also, just wanted to take last comments from everyone. Maybe we can start with Surbi because Surbi, you can also tie it up with your understanding of future of work, and particularly keeping in mind our audience, that is, people who are either deciding, which colleges to select, or some of them who are going to be giving their final placements as well. So keeping those people, that audience in mind, please, your last piece of advice, and what has actually driven all of you so far, or something inspiring that just is going to stay with them for a very long time.
So definitely, like I echo what Sundaram has said about Gen AI and future of work, and BCG is actually leading, you can say, the wave, and one of the companies in the world who is consulting everyone on use of Gen AI, etc. So, in fact, this year, I myself was involved in three Gen AI projects in HR, which was amazing experience to do. So, one advice from that experience would also be that just keep yourself updated with what's new, what's trending. For example, whether it's your skills with Gen AI or whether it's data analytics, as Sundaram also mentioned, it's a very important skill, or whether it's overall like, the project management kind of aspect or problem solving. So, my learning from my career has been that, these key skills which we sometimes tend to ignore, and we sometimes tend to think that okay, we'll get to them or whatever, they're really important to build, and they'll take you to places, because people want skilled talent. Organizations, top organizations, they're looking for skilled talent. So just keep upskilling, network, and use these opportunities that you have to speak with alumni, to speak with your faculties, etc., and just enjoy basically your journey.
Isha and Sundaram, last pieces.
Yep. My advice would be read the business side of newspaper. The most important, the most important, that is going to affect your stock market portfolio, your resume, and your job. That is more important. Please keep yourself updated with what's happening in the industry. You don't need to be in HR. You can be in HR, marketing, sales, doesn't matter. Irrespective of the domain you are in, please keep yourself updated with whatever is happening, and use LinkedIn effectively. Network with people. You can, if you are in any city, you can just network with them, go out for a coffee, and have them talk and understand what exactly is happening in their organization. It's probably a cost of a coffee, but you will learn a lot in terms of networking. So these are my couple of mantras: network, keep yourself updated.
I'll take the baton on the closing notes. So, I think, however you decide to go about your career is just a reflection of who you are, and your first organization, or the organization after that, or the organization after that, does not determine or shape your career. And there are going to be times when you might need a break, and it's really relatively used to be a taboo couple of years ago, but now things are changing. So do take in those aspects of learning and times for yourselves once you have gotten into the rigmarole of your career. I think your overall well-being, and in terms of taking participative action and like Sundaram said and Surbi mentioned earlier, that there are going to be forums which will give you the opportunity to speak up, but there could be some hesitation. Try to overcome that hesitation and come to the spotlight. Sometimes what that leads to is not from an attention speaking seeking sort of a gimmick, but that what that leads is that gives voice to other people as well. So do try to connect chords with people at a level where you'll understand more about the world from a 30,000 feet lens. Right now, it's going to be a decision that, okay, this is the college, this is the curriculum, one project after the other, a rigmarole of classes, and then one rigmarole of jobs. But try to look at things from an outside in perspective. One thing I got to know from people is when they talk over lunch table, they are generally talking about US politics and what's happening. So I would want it to, and I never got interested in it. But as soon as I started hearing those conversations, I was like, okay, it's time to know about all of this too. So keep yourself informed and be well read, and डर के आगे जीत है is what I'd like to say.
Hey, with just one point here, be really sensitive on social media. That is really important. I understand we all have our political views and our personal preferences. I understand that, but social media is out there. Any recruiter would see that and can be a reason for your rejection. Please be really, really cognitive of that. Let social media be a place of fun and not your activism, right? I'm coming from a place where I've seen people get rejected and people get judged because of that. Please be aware of your situations on social media. And as I said, your personal brand is really, really important. I touched upon this earlier. Your building your personal brand is really important, and that is the most important thing when it comes to interview. And people will look out for your social media and your resume. So that's really important. So be aware.
That's so well put. Great. I think it was incredible hosting, all three of you, and so glad that the timings actually matched for all three of you. All the questions that are probably unanswered, especially with regards to the admissions process, please feel free. All the participants that you can connect to our admissions team. Our admissions team will be more than happy to address and answer all the questions that you may be having. And of course, please feel free to reach out to all three of them on their LinkedIn as well. As beautifully was said, also in between by all three of them, that networking in the capacity, whatever capacity you can, but networking will definitely play a very pivotal role. So please feel free to leverage that professional networking site and reach out to all three of them. I think all three of you are using the same first name and last name for your LinkedIn as well, right?
Yep.
Great. Thank you so much, everyone, and thanks so much.
Neja, appreciate you. You were an amazing host.
All right.
You were patient and you were an amazing host.
That was very kind of you. Thank you so much. That
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you
Appreciate
so
it.
much,
You.
and thanks so much to the marketing team for helping us put this together. Thank you.